Today, I present to you a film featuring the classic chaotic battle between the Roman army and the Allied forces from the west. Why do so many eagles in the sky attack humans crazily? How can an army surrounded by enemies break out of the siege? This story explores themes of national righteousness, brotherhood, love between men and women, and the clash between East and West. How will this war unfold? The narrative is set in modern-day China's western regions, where the Roman army ventured deep into the Silk Road and constructed an ancient city. A team of explorers arrives at the ruins of this ancient city. In the snowy weather, the convoy left marks on the road, and a dusty memory will be slowly unveiled. The ancient city has become a desolate sight, with crumbling buildings standing in silence. Snow blankets the collapsed stone columns, and the weathered remnants still hint at the city's former glory. With the aid of modern technology, the appearance of the ancient city is gradually restored through projection devices. In 48 BC, on the borders of the Han Dynasty's Silk Road, 36 foreign tribes were engaged in a brutal struggle for survival. At this time, a group of riders galloped across the ancient sandy paths, led by Huo An. Huo An leads the team to the place where the melee is about to begin. There, the troops were fully prepared, and the two armies were facing each other, preparing for a fight. Huo An took the high ground, poring over ancient texts to analyze the tribes and leaders of the two opposing forces. As the war began, the chief of the White Indians challenged the Huns. Both sides sent out a representative for a duel. Although White Indians had already lost, he spoke rudely to Huns when he left. So Cold Moon, a Huns, attacked him. Huo An rushed to the scene, hoping to prevent further conflict. In a critical moment, he arrived just in time to block Cold Moon's lethal strike against the enemy. Huo An sought to turn foes into friends and maintain peace in the western regions. He attempted to persuade Cold Moon, but she was unyielding and launched an attack on him instead. Huo An focused on defense, avoiding her strikes without counterattacking, adhering to the principles of the Silk Road Protection Squad. Despite being a woman, Cold Moon's martial skills were on par with any man. In the heat of battle, Huo An accidentally pulled off Cold Moon's veil. According to the customs of the grasslands, if a man removes a woman's veil, she is obliged to marry him. After Huo An drank the wine, Cold Moon took off her clothes to show that she was ready. Seeing this, Huo An said that he did not take off the veil on purpose, and he came here just to return the veil to her. In fact, Huo An was already married, and his wife taught children in a small town. Huo An often had her write letters to the Grand Commandant. At that time, it was considered shameful for a Central Plains woman to marry a barbarian, but the couple overcame societal prejudices through their belief in ethnic unity. Just then, Yenmen brought news that the protection squad had been framed by the newly appointed governor. When Huo An and Yenmen returned to the protection squad, they found everyone shackled. Yenmen immediately drew his sword, but Huo An stopped him, knowing that the situation was dire and that using brute force would lead to severe consequences. To protect his family and subordinates, Huo An chose to go with the captors. Everyone was taken to Yenmen Pass to build a city. The ground was covered with yellow sand and the prisoners were very angry. Huo An told everyone not to be impulsive and that they could only leave everything to fate. At Yenmen Pass, Huo An saw the armor of the legendary General Lucius. In the past, various ethnic groups had fought fiercely, leaving many orphans homeless. Lucius had taken them all in, and Huo An was one of those orphans. Now, returning to the place where Lucius had sheltered them felt like coming home. However, the area was home to many ethnic groups with differing beliefs, leading to frequent conflicts. As soon as Huo An arrived here, he encountered a melee. He quickly intervened, believing that ethnicity should not divide people. The guards stopped the fighting, and Huo An was summoned by the captain of Yenmen Pass. The captain challenged Huo An, but he ignored the provocation. At that moment, a contingent of Roman soldiers arrived. galloping before Yenmen Pass. The Roman army was running low on supplies and was attracted by the city that lay before them. There is also a seriously ill little prince in the carriage. General Lucius has taken him across thousands of miles just to escape the pursuit of the eldest prince Tiberius. Soon, the Roman army began its assault on Yenmen Pass. Huo An urgently advised the captain against initiating combat, but the captain disregarded his warning and launched an attack on the Roman forces. The Romans intentionally lured the defenders into a trap, and when the soldiers found themselves in danger, they were defeated. The captain was captured, and Huo An took command of Yenmen Pass. As the Roman army prepared to attack again, the defending troops raised their banners. Huo An requested a ceasefire and dismounted to engage in talks with Lucius. Lucius demanded entry into the city, but Huo An firmly refused, leading to a duel between the two. In their exchange, Huo An recognized Lucius's formidable skills but noticed that some Roman soldiers were collapsing from exhaustion. Seizing the opportunity, Huo An counterattacked, using his agile blade to gain the upper hand. Just then, a massive dust storm appeared in the distance, and the young prince was on the verge of collapse. In a moment of urgency, both men agreed to halt the fighting. Huo An observed the scene through the swirling sand and requested that the Roman soldiers lower their weapons and follow him into the city. Once inside, the Roman soldiers were treated appropriately, and Huo An's men managed to revive the young prince. However, the captain could not allow the Roman army to remain in the city for an extended period. That night, Huo An and Lucius enjoyed a pleasant conversation on the city walls. The next day, due to the governor's intensified plans for fortification, the Romans requested to stay in the city to assist with the construction. Their condition was to send someone to the Parthians for reinforcements to fend off the pursuit of Tiberius. The fortification project commenced, and the Romans utilized Western mapping techniques to achieve remarkable efficiency. All ethnic groups worked together, and a spirit of unity blossomed at Yenmen Pass. With Huo An's mediation, everything proceeded in an orderly fashion. In his spare time, Huo An practiced his skills and trained with the protection squad, following the techniques taught by Reliving in the past. The Roman soldiers also formed ranks, showing no signs of falling behind. Subsequently, both armies sent soldiers to spar, showcasing not only brute strength but also mutual admiration and respect between the ethnic groups. These exchanges built bridges of friendship, fostering a more amicable relationship between the two peoples. Before long, Yenmen Pass was rebuilt as if it had been reborn. Under Huo An's leadership, various ethnic groups coexisted harmoniously, like brothers. Huo An recalled Reliving's wish for the 36 ethnic groups to thrive together on this land, so he encouraged everyone to create a flag that represented them all. The fortifications at Yenmen Pass were completed on schedule, and the Roman army and the defending soldiers celebrated together, filling the city with joy. Huo An hosted a grand banquet with brothers from various ethnicities and Romans, with drums and gongs resounding in celebration. During the feast, Huo An sang of his longing for peace, with lyrics expressing a wish for a world without battlefields. At that moment, the young prince began to sing a song of his homeland. The Romans stood up in unison, joining in, their eyes filled with tears. Everyone recalled the hardships and loneliness they faced while fleeing with the young prince, remembering their days in exile. As the song concluded, Huo An led the applause, exchanging a look of mutual respect with Lucius. Later that night, Lucius explained to Huo An why they needed to send someone to the Parthians. He said that Tiberius killed his father and wanted to kill his brother in order to seize power, and the Parthians were able to prove that Tiberius was not the real ruler. At that moment, the messenger sent to the Parthians returned, recounting what he had seen on the journey. He reported that Tiberius was leading a massive Roman army toward Yenmen Pass. The situation grew increasingly tense, and Huo An, Lucius, the leaders of the various ethnic groups, and the defenders of Yenmen Pass quickly gathered to strategize. At this critical moment, the various ethnic groups at Yenmen Pass united once again to fight together to defend their homeland. Huo An suspected that Tiberius was colluding with the governor and decided to join forces with Lucius to resist the enemy. The young prince appointed Huo An as the commander of the Roman legion, bestowing upon him a golden sword that symbolized power. Just then, the Roman army was at the gates, and Tiberius had killed the scouts sent from Yenmen Pass. Inside the city, chaos erupted as someone impersonated Huo An's orders, intending to capture Lucius alive. In the ensuing struggle, Lucius was overwhelmed and captured. Huo An's wife was also arrested on charges of Huo An betraying the country. Huo An rushed to help her escape. At that moment, Cold Moon, hidden in the shadows, shot a flying sword to save him. The group fled into a room and climbed to the second floor, using silk to escape through a hidden window. During their escape, Huo An's wife was struck by stray arrows while trying to save a student. Huo An rushed to protect her, using a wooden board to fend off the enemy's attacks. In desperation, Huo An lit the straw and was able to escape. However, his wife's blood had already soaked through her clothing, and she ultimately died in front of Huo An. Tiberius's army has occupied Yenmen Pass, and Lucius is captured alive by a traitor. Later, Tiberius arrived and revealed that all this was his conspiracy. In order to gain access to the Silk Road, Tiberius teamed up with Yenpa to capture Yenmen Pass. Lucius pleaded with Tiberius to spare the young prince, but Tiberius, understanding the ruthless nature of power, showed no mercy. Tiberius forced the young prince and a guard to the edge of a cliff, compelling them to jump. With his formidable strength, he had already conquered the 36 tribes, and Yenmen Pass was to be his final battle. Tiberius proposed a condition of not massacring the city. He told everyone that as long as they handed over Huo An, everyone would get gold. Many considered betraying Huo An, but only a few stood by his side. Faced with this situation, Huo An resolved to sacrifice himself for the others. He recalled Huo Zubing's words, "A hero fears not death. By supporting one another, we can transcend our differences." As he made his final farewell, he requested that the flag they had once sewn together be raised. With tears in their eyes, the people lifted the flag high. Huo An was then taken to the enemy camp, but his words deeply moved the soldiers of the 36 tribes. They prepared to feign surrender to infiltrate the Roman army. Huo An was escorted before Tiberius, and on the way, he saw Lucius's men imprisoned in a cell. When brought before Tiberius, the latter attempted to bribe Huo An, but Huo An seized the opportunity to sow distrust between Tiberius and Yenpa. He asserted that Yenpa would not hand over the Silk Road to Tiberius for the sake of a governorship. Just then, Yenpa arrived with his troops, fully armed. Huo An was locked in a cage and continued to plan a counterattack. They also took the opportunity to steal the key to the cage. On the other hand, Tiberius, shaken by Huo An's words, has begun to distrust Yenpa. Huan led the crowd to lift the cage and throw it off the platform, then threw the key to the other side. The imprisoned soldiers erupted into chaos, igniting a battle. The guards outside the city mistakenly believed the enemy had launched an attack from within, and confusion quickly spread. Yenmen was forced to engage Tiberius in a duel, but ultimately fell to Tiberius's sword. His forces clashed with the Roman army, and the flames of war rapidly spread both inside and outside the city. Huo An rushed to rescue Lucius, only to find that Tiberius had brutally blinded him. Lucius asked Huo An why he involved himself in the affairs of the Romans, to which Huo An replied that it was his duty. Hearing Huo An's words, Lucius requested that he protect the city. In the end, he entrusted his army to the Roman commanders standing before him.
Go! Now!
Huo An quickly prepared to face the enemy, rallying the Roman soldiers to throw their spears at the advancing foes. The soldiers left by Tiberius were beaten back. At the last moment, Huo An remembered the formation of shields. They raised their spears and charged at the enemy, ultimately breaking through the encirclement. Before them stood countless Roman soldiers, prompting them to climb the hillside. Just then, Tiberius suddenly heard the cry of eagles. From a distance, numerous eagles soared overhead, followed by the arrival of the 36 tribes. With drums beating, the Allied forces united to charge at the enemy. The Roman army sounded their horns and advanced toward the coalition. Each ethnic group used their own weapons to resist the Romans. Cold Moon led her people to charge at the enemies surrounding Huo An, allowing him to finally escape. With the sound of the Roman army's trumpets, the coalition forces began to be suppressed by the Roman soldiers. The brutality of war was evident, with the coalition falling to the Roman blades. The battlefield was filled with yellow dust, and corpses lay scattered everywhere. At that moment, the Parthians arrived as reinforcements, sounding their battle horns. The Parthian queen sought to legitimize the Roman kingdom, presenting the certificate established by the late king. The military began to counsel Tiberius, but he was resolute. He killed his strategist and even confessed to all his crimes. In this moment, the injured Huo An stepped forward, seeking revenge for Lucius. Huo An was revered by Lucius's men and stood to challenge Tiberius on behalf of Lucius. However, due to his injuries, Huo An could not unleash his full strength and was continually pressured by Tiberius. The heavy weapon swung relentlessly, causing Huo An's hands to tremble as he held his weapon. Gradually, Huo An began to tire, unable to withstand the ongoing challenge. Tiberius handed him a knife from the ground, but Huo An lacked the strength to retaliate. Seizing the moment, he drew a hidden dagger from his waist to stab Tiberius, but was countered. Tiberius then removed the headband that Huo An had tied around his head, which belonged to Lucius. Huo An fell to the ground, grasping the headband in his hand. Just as Tiberius was about to deliver a fatal blow to him, Huo An raised the shattered armor on his arm with all his strength. Tiberius glanced at the Roman soldiers, but they began to flee from him. Blood continued to pour from Tiberius's neck until Huo An finally delivered the fatal blow, killing him. As Tiberius lay on the ground, he began to sing the song of his homeland, the warrior's song that the Romans cherished. He was born for power and ultimately died for it. In the end, recognizing the courage of the Roman soldiers, the Han Empire allowed them to establish a city in the western regions. Ultimately, Huo An and the remaining Roman soldiers would together safeguard the peace of the western territories.